Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to another Good Morning Grief devotional. It's your boy, Pastor Corey Allen Duncan Sr. So excited, ecstatic, and elated to have this wonderful time and opportunity to come to you on today to lead you in yet another grief devotion. This is the daily grief devotion that is strategically designed to help you to navigate through your grief one day at a time. What is grief? I'm so glad you asked. Grief, my brothers and sisters, it is the natural and normal response to loss, change, and transition that results in the expressions of feelings and emotions. Grief is what you feel on the inside. Mourning is how you express it on the outside. Therefore, we don't suppress it, but we express it. We don't ignore it, but we explore it. We don't conceal it, but we reveal it. We don't lock it up, but we let it out. And that's why we shout good morning, because mourning is a good thing. And I want to thank y'all for joining us on this morning as we dare to prepare to navigate through another grief devotion. Thank y'all for joining us on today. We have entered into the month of December. We navigated and got past the Thanksgiving holiday. I know for many of you it may have been difficult, but we made it. And now December. Remember that small steps lead to great distances. This is a wonderful opportunity to put some extra things in place as far as just making sure you stay in tune to the devotion. If there's some extra grief groups or things that you can do to help you to navigate through this December, through this cold, this winter, this holiday season, you want to make sure you do just that so that you can move forward on this journey. Today's grief session is a great one. Our grief quote is wonderful. It simply says, I would rather be ashes than dust. I would rather that my spark burn out in a brilliant blaze than it be stifled by dry rot. I would rather be a superb meteor, every atom of me in magnificent glow, than a sleepy and permanent planet. The function of man is to live, not to exist. I shall not waste my days trying to prolong them. I shall use my time. Y'all, today we are going to talk about don't just exist, live. Don't just exist, live. Who is not stirred by such a sentiment? I want to read it again. I would rather be ashes than dust. I would rather that my spark burn out in a brilliant blaze than it be stifled by dry rot. I would rather be a superb meteor, every atom of me in magnificent glow, than a sleepy and permanent planet. That picture right there, it just says a lot. You know, he said a sleepy and permanent planet, a planet that's just sleepy, permanent, standing. Now, he says he would rather be a superb meteor that's burning out, right? And everybody being blessed by the brilliant glow, right? The function of man is to live, not to exist. I shall not waste my days trying to prolong them. I shall use my time. If you're not careful, grief will put you in a place where you're just existing and you're no longer living. Of course, you got to grieve. Of course, you got to mourn. Of course, you got to navigate through the process of navigating through the loss, change, and transition that you've experienced. You got to mourn. You got to deal with the loved one that has transitioned. You got to deal with whatever loss, change, or transition that you've experienced in your life. You want to go through that process, right? Because if you don't go through that process, you'll feel as if you don't have any hope. If you don't go through that process, you will find yourself just existing and not living. Existing, just alive, just the day. You're not living the days are living you, right? You're just going through the motions, right? That's why it's so very important that you mourn meaningfully so that you can live and not just exist. You got to understand this, there is life after death. And I'm not just talking about for your loved one, I'm talking about for you. There is life after death. A lot of times we think death is the end, that we won't be happy again, that we won't smile again, that we won't have our joy again, that that we'll never recover from this. Some of us, if we lost a spouse, you may think you'll never love again, right? And so, but when you understand there's life after death, You begin to know that if I go through the process of mourning, right, that I can be happy again. I can live again. I can laugh again. I can love again, right? Some of your best days are still ahead of you. I know it's hard to see it right now. I know it's hard to fathom right now because the dark cloud that is hanging over you, it seems so heavy, right? And it seems as if your world is just crashing in. You can't breathe, right? But God is saying, and I want you to understand this. And even if you can't live it now, I want you to receive it. I want you to, as my daughter used to say, take this, y'all, zip it, lock it, put it in your pocket. That God wants you to live and not just exist. You still got more chapters to write in the book of your life. You still got more miles to travel on the journey of your life, right? There's still some great days ahead of you. You going to laugh, some good belly laughs until you cry. You going to travel. You going to eat some good food. You going to meet some good people, right? You going to smile again. You going to enjoy life again. You going to embrace this next chapter. It's going to bless your whole entire life. But that's why you have to mourn meaningfully so that you can get to the place and space where you back up on your feet, so that you can get to the place that you can still experience the life that God desired for you to live, right? What you got to know and understand is that when you go through a death, when you experience death, even though your loved one transitions, right? That God says you still have life, right? You still have life and your life is not over, right? And so it is very important for us to navigate through this loss, change, and transition in a meaningful way because God says you're not done. Oh, you're not done. Your life is not done. You may think it's over because the pain is so intense, but God says, oh no, you are not done, right? You are not done. So I need you to heal. I need you to feel, revealed, and heal. I need you to go through this process because I still got more in store for you. I still got more in store for you. I still have life and life more abundantly for you. That's why I need you to go through this process. Check this out, y'all. Who is not stirred by such a sentiment? Fortunately for us mourners, its message applies just as much in times of grief as it does in times of boredom or joy. To live in grief is to reach out to others, to talk about our thoughts and feelings, to sob, to journal, to express. To use our grieving time is to mourn actively, openly, and fully. Y'all hear that? To live in grief is to reach out to others. We're going to reach out to others. We're going to talk about our thoughts and our feelings. We're going to sigh. We're going to journal. We're going to express. We're going to use our grieving time to mourn actively, openly, and fully, right? That's what we're going to do, right? That's what's going to happen. Check this out. So let's not waste too many of our days in denial and distraction. Let's be bold. Let's be meteors in grief. Our inner truths brilliantly ablaze for everyone to see. Yeah, don't waste too many of your days in denial and distraction. As you navigate through this season, don't waste too many of your days in denial and distraction, right? Because when we experience loss, a lot of times we end up in denial. A lot of times there's a lot of distraction, right? But I love it because it says, let's be bold. Let's be meteors in our grief. I want you to be bold in your grief. I want you to be meteors in your grief, right? I want you to make sure that you are at the place where you allow your inner truths to brilliantly ablaze for everyone to see, for you to navigate through this process, for you to feel, for you to reveal, so that you can heal, so that you can start to progress on your grief journey. God says, I still got more in store. I need you to grieve and mourn because I still got more in store. I want to live. Here's the final thought. I want to live, not just exist. I shall use my time of grieving. I want to live and not just exist. I shall use my time grieving. And I want you to see it. It may be hard for you to see now, but as you continue to navigate through this process, God says, I want you to live and not just exist. I don't want you to live in a solemn state where the world is passing you by. I don't want you to live to suffer in silence and just feel as if it's all over, like there's no purpose for living. God says, oh, there's a purpose for living. It's not over. That I still have more in store for you. But as you continue to grieve and mourn and navigate through this thing called life, you'll be able to receive. You'll be able to see that this next, watch this, you might not believe it, but this next chapter can be your best chapter, right? This that you don't know what God has in store. He has more in store, right? And this next chapter can be your best chapter. But you got to put yourself in a position to where you grieve and you mourn meaningfully so you can receive all that God has for you. Questions, comments, if you got them, I'll take them. If you got questions, comments, I'll take them. I'll take them. I'll take them. I'll take them if you got them. You know, y'all be quiet on here. Y'all be asking a whole lot, but I hope the message is well received. I want to make sure y'all at a place. Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it for you, Lalicia. I shall live and not just exist. Yeah, right? You shall live and not just exist. Our next chapter can be the best chapter. You hear me? It can be the best chapter. Just go through the process. Nobody's in denial of what happens. Nobody is saying that where you are now is not a painful place. Yeah, it's painful, right? What you're going through, this is the hardest season of your life. But what I'm saying is when you grieve and mourn, when you continue to show up, when you put yourself in safe places and safe spaces that can help you navigate through this. Let me say it like this, and I've said this before. It's as if you've ever broken a leg or if you ever broken an arm, if you ever had some type of injury, right? Had your hip replaced, had your knee replaced, right? We older. You've gone through seasons where you've had to have those things. You had an injury, you had to have something replaced, right? And it was painful, it hurt. You had to go through rehab. But some of you are walking now better than you've ever walked before. Some of you are living now after the injury, after the accident, after the operation, after the replacement. You are like, oh, I no more pain. I feel better than ever. And you can do now what you were not able to do before. That's what grief is, right? When you navigate through loss, change, and transition, you got to go through the process of surgery and physical therapy and recovery. And even though it can be grueling and it can be painful, you get to the point to where you come out of that and you're fully functioning, right? And you got full motion in your arm, you can run with your legs, your hip, you can do stuff now, right? Because you went through that process. And that's what I'm telling you. If you go through the process, you'll find yourself in a position where you're not just existing, but you're living, right? And you're living a life that's meaningful because you've gone through the process. So go through the process. Yeah, Thanksgiving just passed, now Christmas and come a month without my loved ones. Yep, and we gonna make it. We gonna make it, Felicia. We gonna make it. Live and not exist. Nakisha. We're just grateful for you. Thank you for all that you do. These devotionals have been very helpful. Thank you for the space and platform. Thank you for tuning in, right? I appreciate you. Yep. I'm gonna get a word, but y'all got to show up, and you show up, right? Y'all show up faithfully and do the work, and I'm grateful for that. So I appreciate y'all. It's Friday. I hope you have a phenomenal Friday and a wonderful weekend. I love y'all with the love of the Lord. Word for the day: don't just exist. Make sure you live. God has more in store. Your next chapter is gonna be your best chapter. Let's go.